Are you saying this to yourself like, you know what? I don't even know if I really want to sell. I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of this business. I'm tired of dealing with, payroll. I'm tired of dealing with the payroll like this. I'm tired of dealing with, the team members always seeming like they never satisfied, even though everything they've asked me for, I've given them pretty much 98%. But when that 2% hit, they are just so ungrateful. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you for being here again on The Leader You're Becoming, where we talk about leadership, stewardship, and how to create a workplace environment that your people don't hate going to each and every day. Yes, it is possible to create that environment. I am your host, Coach T, and I'm excited today because we're about to talk about a very important topic right now. There's a lot of noise in our space, right? In our space of business here in the United States. And you may be watching this overseas and you're probably hearing some chirpings of this as well, which is about consolidation. You got people buying massive entities, buying businesses, what appears to be at a very rapid rate. Or you're hearing a story of a person trying to sell, or you hear your favorite influencer online talking about, buy a boring business. So there's this frenzy, if you will, of business buying. And I'm here to talk today from a leadership perspective of the individual looking to make a decision, or the group of people looking to make a decision about selling the company and how that impacts how they show up as a leader on the day-to-day, right? And then also how to think about and navigate the challenge of, should I sell this business, right? And so if I had to use for a theme or a thought today, it's going to be this. I like to have my notes, which is it really time to sell, or am I just tired? I'll say it again. Is it really time to sell, or am I just tired? And so the reason why this is important is because the selling of a business, I've been able to be lucky enough to be a part of a couple companies, one where they were in talks around selling it, and in another business we actually did. And when you talk about this, there are so many ramifications for the business, regardless of whether your team, your employees know, or if it's just a few stakeholders or your family, right? It's so critical. And as you're going through this process, or even considering this process, there are so many things where you have to show up as a leader in a very particular kind of way in order to make sure that your family is okay, if you decide to sell or not, or just even thinking about it, your team is okay, how you show up as a leader. And so with all of the conversations going around about consolidation and private equity and angel investors and buy a business and buy the boring business, all this stuff going on, right? I think it's important as leaders, we really understand like why I would want to sell a business today. Right? Why would I want to sell a business today? Because oftentimes what I found is most people say they want to answer, say they want to answer the call, if you will, of selling a business, right? But really, they might just be tired. And we're going to talk through that a little bit today. And so with that being said, the questions that obviously always naturally come up is like, should I sell my business, right? And I always challenge, I'm learning to really challenge that, which is, should I sell my business, but why? And when you look at some of the data, right, I'm a big data guy. So when I look at the data, I'm like understanding well, what does the market look like for it? I know I hear the stories, I hear people talking about it, I see my favorite influencers talking about buying these businesses or how they're buying these businesses, etc. But what does it actually say? And I got some data here, which is this, right? Consolidation is actually real, but much of the noise around consolidation is actually driven by very large deals. Bain, big firm, actually said that it says that $5 billion, deals that are above $5 billion drove 73% of the incremental deal value in 2025. So let's hold that for a second. Deals that were over $5 billion represented 73% of the market value. So a lot of the things that are being bought and a lot of the stories we're hearing is actually not a lot of businesses. Here goes some more data around that, right? Private equity exit value hit $1.2 trillion, and this is from KPMG. in 2025, even while the exit volume fell to a 5-year low. So let's explain that for a second. Deal volume, right? Like not volume, excuse me. Deal value went up to 1.2 trillion dollars in 2025, right? So private equity that we're selling, right, sold for 1.2 trillion, which is crazy, right? When you really think about it, it's 1.2 trillion in 2025. So it seems like a lot is happening because all this money is moving, all these sales are happening. But the actual number of deals that were done were actually at a 5-year low. Now, I'm in I'm very close to a space that is getting very consolidated. I'm seeing it on a day-to-day basis, right? We were part of that. We got sold in this space. And I just remember thinking like, man, it's frenzy, it's happening. But then when you go 30,000 square foot view and you look at everything, in reality, it's not really a lot of deals happening. But the price, the value, the price tag on the deals happening is tremendous, right? PwC reported that 10,333 U.S. deals worth 1.6 trillion happened through November 30th of 2025. So a lot of stuff is happening, but here goes the bottom line. The market is active, but that does not automatically mean it is your time to sell, right? It's active. And from a leadership standpoint, we have to understand, like, why do I want to sell? Is it because of is it fatigue? Is it pressure from maybe family, friends, other partners? Is it an identity crisis that you're going through at the moment in time? Can't really figure you out or the business out? Is it family? Is it frustration? Is it fear? Right? Or is it just genuine wisdom, which means, hey, you know what? This is a really good time to sell right now in this market. And so I have a couple things that I want to go through because there's really 4 main drivers for if you're thinking about selling your business, right? Even if you're running a business right now and you're like, no, I'm not going to sell anytime soon. Well, this is still for you because of the simple fact that at some point in time, it is going to hit your heart of, when is it time to transition this business? And again, all businesses are going to transfer no matter what, right? They're either going to transfer because of you want to sell it and profit. It's going to be a distressed sale. You're going to sell it and save some money, right? Or like cut your losses. You're going to transfer it to friends, or it's going to be sold without you because unfortunately you passed away. Right? So at the end of the day, there is going to be a transfer. So it's not, or it's going to die and you're going to dissolve it and go bankrupt, right? It's going to transition to the grave. So at the end of the day, there is always going to be a transition. It is just how you're now in a position to understand and dictate when that happens and how you show up as a leader in navigating the emotion and navigating the strategy and navigating the why is going to be critical, because all of this, when we get through this, you're going to see how your decision and what's influencing your decision is impacting your team from a leadership capacity standpoint, right? And the leader you are in your home. And so, number 1, what are the 4 drivers? Number 1, it is stewardship. This is like, what is wise, right? This is you thinking about, okay, I'm in a position, I'm not fearful, I'm not stressed out, or maybe I'm dealing with the stress, but like, is it wise right now to sell this business? I'm looking at my family, I'm looking at my health, I'm looking at the timing, I'm looking at, is it really transferable? And what is the long-term impact on my legacy or my family's legacy or this business legacy if I transition right now? Right? That is a stewardship question. And we talk about that a lot on this show, which is stewardship is how you handle, how you manage, how you cultivate that business from a leader's perspective. And especially if you are the owner of the business, that is even more critical because, again, you have the most weight in the business as the owner, right? If you're an executive and you're not the owner, you still have a lot of weight in the business as well. Now, is it from exhaustion? So driver number 2, exhaustion. You might ask the question, how do I get out? So if you are finding yourself ask this question of how do I get out of this, you're probably exhausted, right? Sometimes the desire to sell is not around clarity. Stewardship shows clarity. Exhaustion is not clear, right? Fatigue is looking for relief. So my question to you is, do you want to sell because you can see a sense of relief on the other side? Now, that's not to say selling from a stewardship position doesn't create relief, right? Like that is normal. But if that's all it is, which is like, whew, I'm just glad I'll never be doing this again, you might want to really consider why you're trying to sell, or you might be really in a place of exhaustion. Driver number three, it is frustration, right? This is when it sounds like this. Do I really want to sell, or do I just not want to carry this version of the business anymore? Think about that. Are you saying this to yourself like, you know what? I don't even know if I really want to sell. I'm just tired of this. I'm just tired of this business. I'm tired of dealing with, payroll. I'm tired of dealing with the payroll like this. I'm tired of dealing with, the team members always seeming like they never satisfied, even though everything they've asked me for, I've given them pretty much 98%. But when that 2% hit, they are just so ungrateful, right? Sound familiar? And so this is an opportunity where you to look at the business where, is it too dependent on you? Is it too dependent on maybe your leadership team, or is it too dependent on your resources? You're constantly like investing into the business, or whatever that might look like. This might just be a matter of, I am frustrated with this business and how it is. And that's it. It's just straight frustration. And number 4, and this one's the kicker, and this one kind of can tie into all of them, which is FOMO. The fear of missing out. If you haven't heard that before, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? You're hearing about 1.2 trillion. You're hearing about, oh man, all these people are jumping into the market right now because they're going to buy my business, right? Because everybody's telling them to come buy the business. So now I got this host of buyers out there. Now I got, plenty of buyers that might want to buy a business because I already got the systems in place. I got the team in place. It's not a startup, et cetera, et cetera. And you're like, I don't want to miss out on right now when everybody's all excited and blue-eyed and bushy-tailed, right, about buying a business, and the multiples are crazy. I'm seeing 18, 19, 20%, 20 multiples out there. I want to sell. And you're thinking about how much money you can get, and you don't want to miss out, right? And so this is what FOMO looks like. And so with that being said, I question, right, or I challenge you to really understand what's driving your desire to sell this business. What is driving your desire to exit right now? Is it pure stewardship, which is, I want a healthy look at what it looks like right now if I decided to move on from this business? How would it impact my family, right? From a level head, how would it impact me, right? I've seen people, I know people who sold their business and they are bored. They're bored out of their mind because they don't know what else to do. They spent 10, 20, 30 years building something, spending their whole life pouring their whole heart, blood, sweat, and tears into it, and now they are bored out their mind. And sometimes they don't even have enough money to do anything about it. Got a couple $1 million in the bank. Now, I'm not saying a couple $1 million is a little bit of money. Don't get me wrong. But if you still got 30, 40 years to live, a couple $1 million, unless you're living at $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year net, from a net standpoint, if you had a job, that might be able to stretch a little bit. But if you're trying to live at a $250,000 lifestyle, well, what is that? That's only going to hold you up for so long, right? And so with that being said, really, are you really taking the time to look at the stewardship of it, calm, cool, collected, and just seeing what is the best value right now for you and your family and your position? Or again, are you exhausted? You just tired. You just want relief. You just know if you got rid of business, life would get better. Like you just got rid of business, life would get better, right? That's exhausted. Are you frustrated? You're just angry and you're tired, right? You're angry and you're tired. Or are you just listening to those multiples? You're talking to your friend that got $50 million. They moved to Florida. They're just enjoying the beach, right? The taxes don't matter in California to them anymore, right? Because they're just there. They got so much money. They just paid them California taxes, or they just paid the taxes wherever they are. They moved to California. They're at Newport Beach, Redondo Beach, just hanging out, chilling. You looking on social media, you're following them around. They're going to all the restaurants. They're traveling the world. They're eating. Their family is happy. Their wife stopped working. You don't see their kids anymore because their kids now are in different private schools and different things of that nature. And you're just looking at the life that they have now because they sold their business. And you are afraid of missing out, FOMO, right? But before we get to that, but so after now we identify like what is the reason why I want to sell this business. Now let's actually look at some practical steps of what can we really do, right? After we ask these questions, right? If we decide and we take our time, we ask the question around it, now what? Let's look at our options. Number 1, we can sell. We can just sell the business, right? Now, selling might make sense when it's thoughtful, aligned with your goals and whys. Sometimes selling is stewardship, right? What does that mean? My former CEO, I remember him saying, and he said, I took it as far as I can take it right now. That's it. He said, I took it as far. I got it to this point. And if it gets to the next point where I thought I could be able to take it to, or I wanted to take it to, then I still did my job. Because I set the business up to get to the place of where I really wanted it to go. But stewardship says that I wasn't the best partner to do it, but this next partner was. And it was a nice handoff, and the business went. And guess what? The business is by a couple more things done, to fulfilling that dream or that vision. So yes, that is a good time to say it is a good stewardship sale. Not just in the moment for you, but what did the business do? Because that means you also sold to the right partner, right? That was aligned with your business, that also stewarded that business and can steward that vision that you have. Sometimes you got to understand, like, the vision, if we say the vision is bigger than us, then we also have to accept the fact that the vision may not be brought to the finish line by us, right? Sometimes we get in this, the vision is bigger than me, but then we're the ones trying to carry it across the finish line, right? Well, no, if it's bigger than you, you may not carry it across the finish line. You may not get the big accolade at the end, but that doesn't mean it still wasn't your vision, right? You were able to bring your vision to life through others. That is leadership. That's leadership 101. How can I get this vision that maybe God gave me, right? Like, God gave me this vision, and I'm going to bring it together, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to bring all the humans together to bring this vision to life. And ideally in business, that vision is, from a business standpoint, we're solving a problem for humanity. We might be solving a financial problem for humanity, a comfort problem for humanity, a beauty problem, if you will, for humanity, a self-esteem really problem for humanity. We might be solving a hunger problem for humanity. That is what our business is solving, right? And that vision can come through you, and you can pass it on. That is good stewardship. That is when you sell the business, when it lines up and it checks those boxes, right? So number two, that's something practical you can do. Number two, you can hold and keep it, right? And keep building. Sometimes holding makes sense when the business still has more value, right? And your desire to sell may come from fatigue rather than clarity. Sometimes it's just time to take a step back. You realize, you know what? I actually don't want to sell the business. I love what I do. I got 5-10 more years in me right now. And yes, the multiples are great right now, but if I sold, it wouldn't change anything, right? Okay, a few extra $1 million in the bank account, and again, I'm not downplaying that, right? But that might not really move the needle for your family, right? You might need $100 million in your bank account, or $50 million, and not a $2 million would give you a couple years, but then you have to go figure out something else to do when you can just keep running the business, increasing the value of it. So then when you do exit, it is more substantial for a lifestyle change and, more freedom from a family standpoint. Right? So that's number two, hold and keep building. And then number three, maybe you just de-risk, right? Maybe you take some chips off the table, right? This is an opportunity where maybe it is probably best for you to go ahead and say, you know what? I am going to take 30% and I'm going to sell 30% of the business. And the business is worth 10 million. I'm going to take 3 million because, hey, guess what? 3 million right now is a big deal. It could be a big deal where you can pay out some debt and, get yourself in order, recoup some of that money you invested early on to stabilize your family because your family had to take some financial risk and got stressed financially because you did all these things investing into the business. And now you take some of that off the table. You bring in another partner that might be a partner for resources from a idea standpoint or just resources in cash, right? And then you de-risk the business, you stay in there, you keep going, and you share as that pie gets bigger with somebody else, and you de-risk the business, or de-risk your finances in that case, right? Took some tips off the table. So with all this being said, right, regardless of what you decide to do, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you have to be really clear about what you decide to do, because this is how it shows up, or how it's going to show up each and every day within your leadership. If you decide to sell the business, how you show up as a leader, right, is going to adjust, especially with your strategy. right? Because now you're really trying to get this business to a place of like, hey, I got 6 months or I got a year. I got to get this thing sold. And so how you show up, what that might mean for the team, right? You might have been a lifestyle type leader where it's like, okay, it's kind of cool. Oh, that's a little messy. That's fine. But if you know you're going to sell in a year, that level of accountability is going to change. Right now, I believe that you should operate with that level of accountability from the beginning. So when it's time to sell, you don't have to like change, because oftentimes when you're ready to sell and you increase the level of accountability, if people were used to operating here and you bring it up here, you might have to change people. And that's a whole nother issue that you just created for yourself, right? In trying to sell this business now in the next year. And so the leadership impact on whether you decide to sell is going to be critical on your decision to decide to sell, is going to be is going to directly impact your leadership and how you show up each and every day, right? Even if it's like you already have high levels of accountability and you already operate in that capacity, just knowing that you're about to sell, it's going to show up different. I'm just telling you. I've seen it firsthand, the anxiety of it, because going through a sale, it is probably one of the most grueling things you may do in your entire life, right? And I've heard this from several business owners, right, that have sold their business, and I got to see it firsthand in the room with the business owner, right, going through the emotional roller coaster and navigating the negotiation and the meetings and then how is it going to impact the family and how it's going to impact the team and what does this mean, and it's a lot, right? And so even if you got it all together, as soon as you start down that path, it's going to show up. And so you have to be able to navigate as a leader all the emotions and navigate all that goes into selling a business, right? Also, it's going to impact your family, like implications on your family life. Like at the end of the day, you sell a business, right? You decide to sell, it's going to impact how you show up to your family each and every day as well. Now, if you decide to buy and hold, or you decide to, just keep it as a lifestyle business, and you don't never want to sell, right, as far as you're concerned, then guess what? How you show up is going, how that shows up as well is going to adjust. If you're like, hey, this is a lifestyle business, I'm cool with my $250,000 a year. If the business grows, great. If it does, great. I just put the money in the savings account, or maybe my wife might get a new car, my husband might get a new, new toy or whatever it might be, right? But just having clarity around what you want to do and why you want to do it will dictate how you show up as a leader. It will show up in how you strategize. It will show up in how maybe even communicate, right? And again, on this podcast, I believe that you should operate with a level of excellence each and every day, regardless of your decision, but at least have the clarity around why you want to make the decision that you make, and then align accordingly, right? And align accordingly to give yourself optionality. If you're always enterprise ready, said another way, if you're always enterprise ready to sell the business and you just want to keep it a lifestyle business, you can always do a lifestyle business. If you want to continue to just increase value, well, you're already operating at an enterprise level, just keep going, you're going to just increase value. And then if you're operating at an enterprise level business and it's time to sell, guess what? You just sell. So this is why, you have to be very clear on what you want to do. Now, that's not to say either one is wrong. I'm just saying, I just fundamentally believe we should have options. If we're going to take all this risk running the business, create the best thing possible so you can have your options. But I also understand that some people don't want to work that hard. All right. Now, if you don't want to work that hard, I'm just going to say this. It can be very difficult to hire and retain top level talent if you don't grow. If you don't grow and you want to hold on to a lifestyle business, it is going to be extremely difficult to recruit and retain top talent because they want to grow. And the vision that they have for their life, for them to stick around for you and with you, is their vision need to fit in your vision. If their vision outpaces and gets bigger than your vision, they are going to leave for a bigger vision because they need space to keep growing. And so that is my only piece of advice. Not only piece, but that is a highly recommended piece of advice, unsolicited here, right? Of advice. Well, I guess it is solicited if you're watching this podcast to this point. So, all right, there goes my advice for you. If you want to recruit and retain top talent, you should continue to increase your vision or your capacity, or have one big enough that their vision can fit into it, and they can grow, and they feel comfortable. It's like we talk about the garden, right, all the time. If I want to plant a bamboo, tree, and I want to have a bamboo forest, I'm not going to put it in a little tiny pot, right? And study after study have shown that the size of the pot will reduce the capacity of the plant, because it's like it's stuck. Now, if I got a field of 100 acres and I start planting bamboo, then guess what? It got space to go. But if I shove it into this little pot, I'm going to restrict the growth of it, right? Or it's going to break out that pot and then ultimately die, because that's all it had. So with that being said, right, here goes some more practical steps for you to continue as you are thinking about why you want to sell the business, and making a decision if you want to sell, if you want to continue to grow and build it, or you just want a lifestyle business, right? Here it goes. Number one, name what is driving you. I've been saying this over and over again, and I heard a study that said that if you're 35 and under, something needs to be said 7 times. And if you're 35 and over, it's 23 times. So I don't know where I'm at. Maybe I should put a tracker on here, and I just do a little ding every time I said it. But know what is driving you to sell. Know what is driving you to sell. Please know what is driving you to sell, or even considering selling. Number 2, ask whether you want to sell the business or just to escape the current weight. Number 3, write out your 3 paths. Are you going to sell? You're going to hold? Or are you going to de-risk? Right? Number 4, think through family impact, not just transactional value. How is this going to impact my family? Number 5, get outside perspective from someone wise who is not emotionally tangled to your decision, right? You can go to anybody. If you want to go to me, just drop a comment, in, reach out to the information on the screen here. I'm here for you. I could be here, just outside perspective, just having a conversation around what is driving this, and is this the right moment in time to sell? All right. And then I always like to leave you with some reflection questions, right? A lot of activity today of things to do, because this is important. Number 1 question: what is actually driving my desire to make a change right now? Is that 23 yet? I think it is, right? Again, what is actually driving my desire to make a change right now? Number 2, do I really want to sell the business, or do I want relief from the weight that's leading it? Did I get to that 23 yet? Can you catch a theme here? And then number 3, what kind of future am I actually trying to build? And does my leadership reflect that? Again, if you are looking to sell your business, or you're looking to hold, or you're looking to de-risk it, that creates a leadership capacity opportunity, and understand it's going to have an impact on your family and on your team, because it's going to impact how you show up each and every day as a leader. And I'll leave you with this as a closing line, right? Before you decide whether it's time to sell, ask more honest questions. Is it time to sell, or am I just tired? Thank you for joining in to the Leader You're Becoming. If this resonated with you, please continue to follow with us online. We appreciate you, and God bless.